Supports. Every team game has them. You've got them healers, damage dealers, and tanks. I wish I knew something that rhymed there too. No matter what type of game it is, if it's a team game, players naturally gravitate towards these roles, even if the developers don't intend them to. Some of the best strategies in team composition is for each player to do one specific thing and then focus all of their energy on that. If done well, you got a team that gets its job done pretty well. DPS stands for damage per second. When you think of a shooter game, you think of this. These guys focus their resources on doing the most damage they can, crippling the enemy. That's their job. Whether it's flanking or going the assassin route, this is generally referred to as one of the more fun roles. Then there are tanks. This varies slightly depending on the game, but it's generally similar throughout the variations. Someone to be at the forefront of the fight, absorbing all the damage and making space for the rest of the team to move in. There might be a few niche games where there might be one or two more subtle roles, but for the most part, there's mainly three. Finally, there's the support role, a role which I think is the most misunderstood. This is probably one of the least played roles because no one wants to play support. No one wants to just sit back and let other people do the hard work for them. Like Jeff Bezos. Now, people think that supports only exist to heal, but that is definitely not true. Okay, crazy idea here. Supports exist to support. They're not there to just purely heal. Not all supports are healers, and definitely not all healers are supports. No. The support's job is to maximize their team's effectiveness. They may not always be the most flashy actor on stage, but they are extremely important, whether that's increasing the team's damage output, hunting down and fishing off low HP targets, or, yeah, just healing the team. I mean, yeah, you got those heal bots that only exist to heal, very easy to play, but to get good at the support role, you have to be very skilled. I'd even say that support is one of the hardest roles to master, or at least, it's the role with the largest skill variation. Keep in mind that this is my opinion. You can obviously look at this however you want, but I'm just here to tell you why I play support, and how I think it's underappreciated. I'll also be referring to the game Overwatch the most because I have the most experience with the game and know it pretty well, although that is not to say I won't show other games or use them as examples. Now, let's talk about Overwatch. It has a slightly complicated history on how it deals with its roles, but TLDR, everyone plays on DPS by a wide margin, which is mostly because all of the fun characters are on DPS. And it's also half the roster. The game wasn't built around this type of configuration. It was for something completely different, yada yada. Here's hoping it can be fixed in Overwatch 2. Now, yeah, sure, people don't usually play tanks or supports as much because basically it's a choice between playing funny shield German man or playing a cyborg ninja. So yes, at first glance you'd gravitate towards DPS. A nice side effect of this though is that if you play tank or support, then your queue times will be much shorter. Now, the supports. They're fun to play. I usually play Zenyatta, Lucio, and Ana. They are pretty skill-based characters and do require time to learn. But first, let's talk about Mercy. Mercy is that character you think of when you think of a healer. She's one of the easiest characters to play, and is generally referred to new players as they learn the basic aspects of the game. She can heal, damage boost, which I think is a vital part of her kit and is pretty underutilized, and pretty mobile as she can fly to teammates to get out of sticky situations. The more you know her, the better you get at knowing when the best time to damage boost is and who, and getting more skilled at mobility. It's not too hard, but it does take some knowledge to learn how to super jump so you can get to more places and faster. But overall, she's relatively a pretty basic character. There's people that understand her very well, and you can definitely become a pro Mercy player as there's more advanced mechanics to learn, but for the most part, her base skill level is pretty easy to learn. She's a great healer, and is a good tool for casual and new players. Now, let's get to some of the more advanced characters. Zenyatta is that character that a DPS player plays when they're forced to play on support because their friends needed someone to play support. He doesn't have very strong healing. He isn't that type of character, although he has very strong utility. Zen has two orbs, Harmony and Discord. He can place his orb on a teammate or enemy respectively that will stay there for as long as they are in his line of sight. The orb will remain for up to 3 seconds after the line of sight breaks. His Orb of Harmony heals, not by much, but it doesn't require a lot of attention, as most of Zenyatta's kit is securing kills. And this is where the true nature of the support role starts to shine. His Discord Orb, when applied to an enemy, makes them take a large percentage of more damage. Thus, it is critical to communicate with your team and cooperate, as if an enemy is close enough to being picked off and the team works together, it's already a secured kill. And on top of juggling those two orbs, aiming is very important for Zen, as his damage is very decent, and if you time it right to click and charge up your shots, you can easily get a lot of cheap kills.
Enemy eliminated.
And that's just the basics of Zen's kit. He is a high skill character to play, and if done right is very important for the team. Now Lucio If you played Overwatch, you know what I'm about to get into. Lucio is a slightly different story. He's a full support. As one of the people in the game with the highest skill ceiling, to truly master Lucio is a lot of work and skill. With some of the most advanced movements in the game, it takes a lot of work to get right. Lucio can skate in walls, getting speed boosts when he jumps, which incentivizes players to switch things up quickly. On top of his main ability being able to heal or speed boost his teammates and himself, his boop ability is great for getting environmental kills, or making space by pushing the enemy team away, which is why Ilios is the best map. There's literally a giant hole in the middle. The objective is so easy to get kills. Thus, he is an amazing character, not just for utilizing his kit for his team, but quickly flanking the other team to get kills, speed boosting his team for a fast push, making space by booping the enemy team away. Again, I'm only covering the basics here. Going into advanced mechanics for each character would take a lot of time, but Lucio is a pretty advanced character to learn, and is the epitome of what a support truly is. In Apex Legends, Loba got a lot of good feedback after being released because of her big support utility. There was only one other support in the game, so she was very welcome. By the way, Apex Legends has one of those niche roles I was talking about earlier, Recon, which by the way, I think would fall under the support category, but I digress. Anyway, Loba is a nice support character. Although she can't heal, her benefit to the team is finding and securing loot, and mobile enough to, well, support. In contrast, Moira has some of the most raw healing in Overwatch. Yet, she is perfect for hunting down and finishing low HP targets. Now, what can I use as a League of Legends example? I don't play League often, because who in the right mind would? Whenever I do when the role is available, I queue for support. I usually play Yuumi. Why? Because I'm a noob and everyone I know who plays League is at a high level, so the only way I don't throw the game is to actively be a heal bot. Was I just talking about individual support characters with no real argument for the entire role? Perhaps. My point is that these guys aren't just heal bots. They in fact do a lot more, as their job to support is to not just heal. They can do some damage. Obviously this depends on the game and character, but they do require skill to play. You don't even need to have a team to support. For some characters you can just support yourself. If you're in a real game, as long as you play it right, you can absolutely carry the game as support. You don't even have to stay with your team to do so. As the obviously superior role that you are, your team counts on you. In fact, I'd even go as far to say is that your entire team is only there to support you. As Zenyatta, you can mark your targets with Discord. Yell it out to your team, they will follow up. You are the one calling the shots, choosing who's gonna go down first. As Lucio, you decide where your team is going. Make the callouts, you decide who's going in the fight, and it's your job to keep everyone alive and together as you pick off troublesome targets. I could go on and on. As Moira, of course you want to heal your team, but you can also clean up the field, picking off stragglers, hoarding the enemy team to where they're supposed to be. Brigitte, protecting the backline from flankers, or just straight up playing as a third tank and leading the charge. Baptiste, the anti-die hero. He can become an off-brand Soldier 76 when he needs to, and he maximizes healing by having his team together. Ana, huge utility. Your team relies on you to guide them. You control the battlefield. You have the most utility out of any other role, and thus you decide how things go down. Your tanks rely on heals, your DPS relies on heals, but you are entirely self-sufficient. Argument could be made that you rely on your tanks and DPS to help you not die, and that's somewhat true, but there are other supports out there that can protect themselves and their teammates too. I would say this is just an Overwatch thing, maybe, but I can name other games where this applies, and if not, then make it apply. As support, you don't have to play passively. Lead your team. Like I said, the support role is one of the least played roles, and I wonder why. Do people automatically have the preconceived notion that they are just there to heal? Anyway, supports aren't just there to heal, and they are in fact one of the more fun roles, and I think more people should be playing them.